Very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to uLaw CPD webinar. Thank you so much for joining in. And the topic for today's session is Trust and Gender Reconciliation Demystified. This is available for 1 hour of professionals and CPD credits. And please make a note of the topic to avail your credits at your respective law society. For the ones who are not able to hear me well, I request you to switch to the phone audio for better audio quality. And we'll be starting it shortly. This session is being recorded, and I'm sure you will be able to see it on our YouTube platform, probably by early next week. For any questions or any concerns during the webinar time, please use the chat window and kindly allow us some time to respond or take an action. Right. Quickly jumping into agenda for today's session. The topic revolves around reconciliation for both trust and general, understanding what goes behind reconciliation, what needs to be done in the order to get your books reconciled, which is both trust and general, to stay on top of your books, compliant, law society compliant, as well as be audit ready. Once again, I welcome everyone for today's webinar. As we get started, I see more people joining in, so I'd like to allow a couple minutes to get into the details. Thank you. Awesome. I think we do have enough people to get started. Once again, thank you, everyone. And the topic for today's session is Trust and General Reconciliation Demystified. We are going to be looking into each and every aspect of accounting, bookkeeping, all the details, including ledgers, journals, that needs to be recorded in order to get your books up to date for reconciliation purposes. Starting off with a very basic thing that needs to be considered if you'd like to get your books reconciled is choosing an accounting system. Accounting system that would suffice your company or your firm or your organization's needs, starting off with a very basic double entry bookkeeping system to spreadsheet software where you would be having to enter each and every debits and credits and accounts that are linked to the same. And moving on to a little bit more sophisticated one, which is more like a general accounting software like a QuickBooks or Xero, even Waves for that matter, which does not have the legal accounting. And with today's world, everything going cloud-based, everything moving on online, everything being on the internet, and all the more flexible access to data, we have the legal accounting softwares, whether it's desktop version or the cloud-based version, whichever ones. But the point is to be able to do trust accounting and general accounting, general business accounting, posting into subledgers, journals, able to produce financial reports, including that of your taxes, balance sheet, trial balance, etc. Our bank accounts in uLawPractice, which includes both trust and general trust, considering that you have your client's money in place, which includes, let's say, all the trust liability, which is trust among clients. Most law firms have at least a general account and a pool trust account, and some people have even the credit card account, which is important to understand where the exact money goes into. Most of the people make mistakes at this place, getting the money wrongly into general account while the retainer has to be in the trust account, or vice versa, where the money has to go into general but wrongly deposited into trust and then moving it out of the trust without raising an invoice or without giving an explanation. All of these goes a long way in being able to reconcile your books. So at the very first stage where you're entering the data, it has to be in accordance with Law Society guidelines and being able to match with that of the bank accounts. While we have the trust and general data entered, which is starting off with simple data entry into the respective bank accounts, whether it's a retainer or a client payment, raising an invoice or raising a retainer letter, providing a receipt, but ensuring they are recorded in the respective bank accounts, respective journals, ledgers, choosing rather the respective accounts and getting the same posted into the chart of accounts that you have probably chosen for this firm. And once the respective data entry takes place, let's say every week or every bi-weekly, or rather every fortnight or every month, at the bare minimum, you're required to reconcile your books once a month. And that has to be done by the 25th of the following month. So let's say right now we are in the month of July. We're on 4th of July, and you are required to reconcile your trust by 25th of July for the month ending 30th of June. Keeping that in mind, every deposit and withdrawal into the trust account needs to go under the respective client matter file, saying whether it was a retainer, whether it was another settlement deposit or another trust deposit, based on your area of practice, and whether it needs to be moved out of trust. If it has been moved out of trust, whether it has been invoiced or whether it was another trust withdrawal or other trust payout rather. So you have to follow some dedicated procedure in order to be able to remove the money or remove the funds from the trust. And if it is so for transferring the funds from trust to the general, a very simple requirement needs to be satisfied by raising an invoice. And to raise an invoice, work has to be completed or partially completed. And once the invoice is raised, the funds can be transferred from trust to general. That is called as a trust withdrawal too. So there are 3 to 4 different types of deposit into trust and 3 to 4 different types of withdrawal out of trust. And one such thing is the legal accounting software here that helps you to record these and produce the respective documents, or rather generate the respective documents, including the reconciliation statements, journals, ledgers, fee books, corresponding tax reports, whatnot. So the accounting system is not just about adding data or adding numbers, but also about entering them into the respective books of accounts, or the records has to be maintained in such a way that the accounting procedure demonstrates the records that are maintained are in accordance with the bank statements or any other documents that gets aligned with it. So in order to get your books aligned with that of your bank statements, there is a process behind showing the reconciliation, not just about these 4 steps, but data entry plays a major role. Keeping that in mind, the first step towards reconciliation is to ensure all the accounting procedures has been followed and all the data entry has been made accurately. And the step 1 is balancing your trust or your general bank account, get the balance, enter it into the respective field. And then if there are any outstanding deposits, which means that you have issued check to your vendor or to your client refund, but they have not deposited it yet into their respective bank accounts. So reduce that from the balance as per your bank statement, because someday within the next few days, it will be cashed out. And then add any outstanding checks that you have forgotten to basically deposit into the bank. So someday within the next few days, you're going to go back and deposit them. And then based on whether you have transferred less or more into the trust by mistake, some error occurs into the trust, and that's noted as a bank error. Somebody debited your trust wrongly, rather the bank charged. Let's say most of the times I've seen this happen to some of the with some of the banks. They would charge their transfer fee into the trust account while it has to be taken out of the general. So that is actually a bank error. They shouldn't be taking out money out of the trust, because trust, any money sitting in trust, is not even your firm's money yet until you have invoiced and moved the money from trust to the general. It is basically your client's money, and you're liable to pay back to them or invoice and move it into general to make it yours. Now, in this case, we do have plus or minus bank errors, because some of the bank errors are otherwise charged, and excess amount sent into trust by mistake has to be taken out, and that is known as a positive bank error. So many of the times do not know that it is a bank error, but it has to be treated as a bank error in order to be able to treat it with reconciliation. And for the reconciliation to be successful, make sure that you are marking them appropriately. And the reconciliation, the next part of it is to make sure all the outstanding checks, whether deposits, withdrawal, all the check numbers are noted with the date and the amount. And then comes into picture, third step is the client trust listing. What is the remaining balance in trust, and who are the clients that have money sitting in trust? What was the last date of activity? Most of the times, this is what trust listing shows, and this is what it is asked for. And step 4 will show the total reconciled plus bank balance. Even though it's, like I said, only a 4-step process, it takes a lot of effort to get to this point, including the trust listing. So if you use a software like uLaw, it's straightforward because you would punch in numbers in the, let's say you do the data entry at the matter level, saying this was the deposit, this was the withdrawal, this was the transfer, this was the refund. All the debits and credits show up, total up, match with the bank balances. Any outstandings, you don't clear them respectively. And then you end up with a, total reconciled trust balance, leaving behind the trust listing as to what is the balance sitting in your trust. The activity consists of 4 parts, starting off with recording the bank balances, clearing the transactions, excluding outstanding checks and deposits, and showing the recording of client's trust listing, which will end up with the trust bank balance reconciled, and that of comparison to your bank statements. Very similar to that of trust is your general reconciliation, but of course, over here there is no bank error concept, but no trust listing concept as well, because all the money in general account belongs to your firm. And it's just a simple accounting procedure to demonstrate that all the records from your books of accounts are correct for your general accounting. And the activity consists of 3 parts. To record your bank balance as per the bank statement, and then to mark all the outstandings. Basically, you don't clear them. All the outstanding withdrawals and outstanding deposits are uncleared. That will provide the reconciled account balance as of certain date, and then you should be able to reconcile. I would say reconciliation of your general account is probably 1 step simpler with no bank error or trust listing. It's kind of going to be much simpler in terms of reconciling your general. Quickly moving on to how to prepare reconciliation in just 3 steps. Well, like I said, if you have the data entered well, perfect. All good there. All that you need to worry about is the date on which you're planning to reconcile, knowing the balance as per the bank statement, clearing the transactions that are only showing up on your bank statement for that month. The rest all will be outstanding. And then once you have the 3 steps done, automatically the reconciliation button will pop up, which means that the uncleared checks and deposits uncleared are all outstanding, and you're able to get the right numbers matched with that of your total unexplained balances of your ledger with total reconciled account balance as well. As you all can see right now, uLaw even has a preview option where you can preview your reconciliation, park it, and then if there's any error that you identify with that of your bank statement, go back into the respective transaction or matter, rectify it, and then you can come back and just clear the parked reconciliation and you'll be able to get the final reconciliation. And in terms of reconciliation report, why do we do reconciliation? Like we all could just go on transferring money, debiting, crediting, and then, end of the day, any which ways the money is there in your books, in your bank, you have, you at least know which client paid you because you have recorded stuff into the respective matters. But one step above, what is the need for reconciliation? Basically, not all the times we enter the data correctly. Now, if there are any mistakes done, it catches all the transactions that you have in your accounting system. Basically, that does not match with your bank statement because let's say you have added in a wrong amount by mistake. When you are trying to reconcile, it will show up and you it kind of ring a bell saying, oh, okay, there's 242 in your bank statement while you've entered it as maybe 442 or something. So it will immediately show up. It won't reconcile. There's a $200 difference. Then you will go back into that respective books, accounts, take a look and do the needful. So it basically catches all the bank transactions. Either also you have forgotten to enter, you have made errors, you have omitted, whatever you can call it as. And if you're reconciling month on month, it means that basically you're ready for an audit anytime, right? Like your books are up to date, your CRA ready, you're able to file your taxes at any point, HST reports, you're able to generate it without any issues, and all your accounting, taxes, management, everything to the to the best of the knowledge that will help you to be on top of your compliances. Well, audit ready is not just the two documents, which is the trust and the general reconciliation, even though those are one of the top documents. Like if you're reconciled, it totally means that you've done your due diligence. But well, are you audit ready? Otherwise, is mainly to download your other documents, including the Law Society compliances for your ledgers, journals. Because most of the time, yes, your trust and general reconciliation serves a big purpose for reconciliations being your top documents that would go into your Law Society compliances. But you still have to keep in mind that not everybody will have a trust account. So the requirement still stays the same for them, that general account to be reconciled. And upon reconciliation, you know what are the other documents that needs to be generated too in order to stay compliant with Law Society. So if you're a uLaw user, it's just a one-click button, and you have all your documents in less than no time. Well, I also recommend to many of my clients saying that, having uLaw is on one side, basically, or rather having any practice management is on one side, but to make your own checklist on how do you go about producing them is a different thing altogether. Like that little planning that goes behind to keep yourself reconciled or up to date. It's a long way. So starting off small with planning the fee structure, how do you plan to get the funds into, whether it's a trust account, and then you reconcile the books, and then you move the money into the general by raising invoices, then handling the trust account with care, with all the procedures being followed, ledgers, journals being up to date, Form 90 for every transfer being made. On the other hand, is that the invoice balances shows that when an invoice is raised, what is the balance that the client owes, and capturing them appropriately into the respective books of accounts. And whenever you get paid, updating them as whether it is for, the legal fee or disbursements matters a lot. And getting paid into general account as and when you pass by, as and when you raise an invoice, and ensuring that you are receiving the amounts into general is important. As you have raised the invoice, the money has to get into general, whether you have money sitting in the trust and that has been moved, or whether you're directly getting the money into general, makes a difference. Lastly, we have these talking about how do you manage all this in less than a few minutes. Technically, reconciliation is only a few minutes process. Depends on the volume. Now, don't come at me saying whether it's a 10 minutes or a 15 minutes or a 20 minutes. According to me, it's an average 30 minutes, but per month for an average of 25 transactions. But let's say the transactions are not recorded clearly. There are mistakes that needs more than the actual time to rectify, and then reconcile the books. So that means during this period, you have to go over the transactions that is being entered, and then get into the respective matters, make the changes, and then seamlessly do the accounting by raising invoices, transferring money, saving time, preventing errors. You're in the respective books of accounts and the respective matters that will help you to complete the reconciliations also on time. So recording data as and when the event happens, and automatically maintaining the ledgers, journals of matter, all the workflow, and keeping accounting data and the bank records always aligned. Now, there is a feature in uLaw that will allow you to arc reconcile every week. Now you can do that. Automatically maintaining ledgers and journals with all the matters workflow really helps you go a long way into reconciling your books on a monthly basis. Now, with using uLaw, of course, uh, you have all of these benefits of being able to record the events as and when they happen and maintain financial records. And most importantly, be in compliance. So for the ones who are basically using uLaw, you will have a better idea as to how everything works. But for the ones who are not using uLaw, I would love to reiterate that reconciliation is not an automatic process. There are a few steps that goes behind completing the reconciliation, which is data entry, ensuring that the dates, amount, the bank accounts chosen, everything are entered appropriately, and you're able to reconcile your books with no issues. I'd like to walk you all through the reconciliation process using our uLaw. But in the meantime, I'd really appreciate if you all have any questions, please post it on the chat window so I can walk you through the same on our platform during this time. And for the ones who joined later, today's topic is on Trust and General Reconciliation Demystified. It's available for 1 hour of professionalism CPD credits and across various provinces, including Ontario, Alberta, British Columbia, and New Brunswick. And for any questions, please use chat window and we'll be happy to walk you through it. Thank you, and taking a quick pause to switch to the accounts tab. Thank you. All right, let me walk you through a simple example as to how transactions enter into reconciliation screen. Now, In uLaw, you all know that we have both matter management and accounting interlinked, which will allow you to add in details under the respective clients as to what they have paid, what you have worked on the file, whether you raised an invoice, whether you have transferred the money from trust to the general, which is called as withdrawal from trust, and then deposits into general if they have paid into general client payments, and then withdrawal from general if it's mostly client refunds or other disbursements, etc. So let's say that we've entered all of these at the matter level, and then when you go into accounting level, you will see all the transactions showing up under the respective bank accounts, whether it is pool trust account or your general account or your business credit card, whatever accounts that you're posting into. Those are the subledgers and, postings that gets into the accounts, respective chart of accounts, and that will later on be reconciled under the respective bank accounts as well. So let me walk you through one simple example, which is end-to-end, that will allow you to get the money in and go out, including disbursements. Starting off with contacts, I think I have a new contact created here. So let me go in, click on matter. The matter has just give me 1 second. Yes, this is the new file. Shouldn't have any dockets, anything. So it's brand new with $0 in it. Let's say this particular client, you're raising some retainer letter, asking them for some initial deposit, download, send it to them. Upon payment, you come back into the program. You will go into this matter. You will say there was a deposit into the trust, which is called as a retainer. So respective date on which you get the money in, let's say it was 2nd of July. I mean, unless and until it's within the same month, should be fine, but precise dates are always great to have recorded as it is. And the next thing that I really like, and Law Society likes too, and we recommend, and we don't allow you to proceed if not either, is the details of payment reference number. Okay. So for instance, if you don't have that in, we don't allow you to actually click on apply. We say that, oh, you're missing the check number or the reference number. So that's the level of check we impose on you to keep yourself safe. And most of the times we don't have details that your bank doesn't provide or doesn't have, then you can say NA or, can always come back. But it's nice to have those details. Check with your bank why it doesn't show up on your bank statement. That's why when you make the transaction, take a screenshot or print screen and keep it into the folder so that way you always have these transaction reference numbers. Most of the times we do only, electronic transfers, but sometimes checks as the check numbers are not a problem. So electronic is mostly what some bank statements won't show up, but if you have them recorded at your end, like this, it'll be great. Well, we have the deposit in. Let's say you're adding in a few legal fee transactions. Maybe you're going to do the flat rate. Okay, 300 plus taxes. And then you go into disbursement. Since you have some money sitting in trust, you want to do a trust disbursement. Well, let's say it was $80 or something. Filing fee. Okay, you can also print a check. Allows you to keep a copy within the program. Sorry, I went to the wrong screen. Yeah, that's the screen. So we do have the refund payout here, the payout, but the description shows us disbursement with filing fee. And then add new disbursement. Let's say this time I'm doing it from the general account and I'm doing some printing charges. I'm going to show you how I have dispersed money and how I would pay for it. Let's say I paid for this, maybe instead of printing out, say courier, and then let me say I used UPS, and then I spent for it. So I want to show this under the reconciliation using the credit card. The credit card, the reference numbers, save. Now we have dockets, we have some disbursements. Let's say we also made a small refund of what was there in the trust after invoicing. So let's complete the invoice. Once you complete the invoice, you can also transfer what is remaining there. So now we have the invoice raised. Go back into the file. Let's say you're going to do two things, transfer and refund. I want to show you how it looks on your trust reconciliation. You're transferring very carefully at your bank side first. Looking into this, it says 395.50. You transfer that in the bank, get the reference number, punch it in, then you complete it, download a Form 9A for your purpose, for your references, as well as for Law Society needs. And download Form 9A. And so go back in. So let's say we're all trying to reconcile. On action, just make sure your admin mode disabled so that if there are anything that will show up under your trust reconciliation, including the items from the previous time that's unreconciled, and wait for it to show up all the transactions. Mine is a playground account, so you definitely see the lag because there are plenty of them using it at the same time, and it has quite a lot of garbage data. But in general, within a minute, it should show up with all the details. probably not showing up because it's still loading transactions. But in the meantime, just make sure before you open the screen, you have your dates finalized for the date that you're planning to do. Let's say you're planning to do for today's date, and then, you have the balance as per the bank statement. That's probably showing up here. You have to enter it in this field that's showing up here. And then you have to clear all the transactions. So just to show you the transactions that I've made today, the disbursement that was made out of trust, the transfer that was made out of trust, both the transactions are here. I think the deposit that was made into trust was in the previous date. So just to show you, if it shows up here, I think it was for the 2nd of July. There you go, the $500, checks in fine. So you clear the transactions as you see them on your bank statement. And once you have them cleared, you'll see the reconciliation tab. And then you can just see reconcile, or you can review in case you want to go back, check and come back. You can even do that. Very similarly, if there are any bank errors, you will have to make sure to show them up here. Let's say by mistake you have withdrawn $50 more, you leave them like this. Or by mistake, if you have entered $50 more into the trust, then you use them as a negative bank error. While you can also, if you're connected to the bank, you can also download the bank statement from here. Currently, my bank is not connected, but if you have your accountants or your bookkeepers working on your books and you'd like to, what do I say, if you would like not to share the bank password or credentials with them, you just give them the user ID password for uLaw and ask them to, use this because you have synchronized it with uLaw and it's easier for them to fetch data from here. Well, very clearly now we also have a new feature that I'd like to take an opportunity to show you all is clear known transactions. Now let's say, for example, all these transactions that you have already reconciled, you can just clear, let's say after you reconcile, you can just, next time you come and try to do, after you park reconcile, you can just simply click on clear reconciliation and it's just done, all taken care. Okay, so you can complete the clear transactions. Then you can close this. Let's say this is the park reconciliation. I'd like to park reconciliation for these 3 transactions, and then which I'm sure of, and then I'll be able to download the reconciliation. These are features that will make your reconciliation process simpler and easier. So let's say every week you try to come in here, you have only 5 transactions, park the reconciliation and then go on to the next month, next week, and then you progress like that. And end of the 4th week, it's easier for you to clear all the known transactions and you'll be left with maybe 2 or 3 or 4, depending upon the volume for your business. And then you can just clear those and complete reconciliation. This is how I would say it takes only 10 minutes if you are able to do your due diligence, your homework, your day-to-day usage using uLaw. I think there's nothing much more that you can do about it than, be easily able to reconcile on a very I would say on a very daily basis or a weekly basis than sometimes waiting for your entire month to get done. While that takes a bit of time to come up, like I said, it's a playground account that would take time. Let me walk you through reconciliation for general. Very simple steps, very similarly. Both trust and general, they're same. It's just that only there's no, I'd say no bank error field when it comes to general, but the rest all are same. And for general, one other thing to have in mind is that you can do both credit card and your general account by clicking on the same tab below that. You can just do the reconciliation for both general and credit card. While we are still loading transactions for general, just keep in mind, similar to trust, we just need to add in your date for that particular period that you're looking to reconcile your books, followed by balance as per the bank statement. And then we have the reconciliation automatically popping up. So only thing is that you have to make sure that you're clearing transactions that will only show up on your bank statements, not otherwise. The ones that are not showing off in your bank statements, please leave them unclear, which is known as outstanding, and that will automatically show up as outstanding deposits or outstanding withdrawals in your books. There you go. So let's say, again, I'd like to take you all to the extreme last transaction. So like I said, the ones that has been imported or the ones that has been cleared, you can just see the difference in color. So this one, I have already reconciled it with the trust. I've marked it as known. So any clear transactions, we can just say clear known transactions. Let's say, for example, you come here, this is currently not cleared. Let's say you go back to the top, let's say clear known transactions, it automatically got cleared. This is one of the best features that I currently love about reconciliation, because let's say you have already cleared it in the trust, and then this is a trust transfer. So obviously it will show up under your trust reconciliation as well as under your general reconciliation. So if you clear it and reconcile there once, it should automatically show up under clear known transactions here, because it's a known transactions to your books. So make sure you always click on clear known transactions, and then you can start clearing off other transactions. It saves you so much time by doing this, following this feature. I don't know how many of you have tried it out at your end, but do go back and try. It's worth saving those few minutes, because you can do your actual legal work in the meantime. These are going to be helpful for you. Thank you so much. If you're watching uLaw CPD today, you are probably going to learn how to save time on reconciliations, how to save time on data entry, how to save time on completing your reconciliations and staying compliant and audit ready throughout, rather audit ready any time of the week, any time of the day. And according to me, if you are able to do your weekly reconciliations, it's great. If not fortnightly, if not monthly, that's the bare minimum that Law Society asks for too. If you're a small business or a sole practitioner with just one or two or three of you, not much of hands to help around. A software could do the wonders by saving your time and still keeping you compliant, helping you by downloading or producing or generating all the depth reports that you need for your Law Society compliances, and still stay on top of your books that will make meaning to you. All right, so I think we're almost to the end of the webinar. I will open up the floor for any questions by looking into the chat window. If there are any questions, I would be happy to take any questions at this point. And I will also share the link for today's attendance. Please do remember to provide the attendance link, that attendance using the link that has been provided. And I'll also share the topic for today's session. If you all have any questions at this point, please use the chat window and let me know, so it'll be helpful for us to improvise on the topics or any details that you'd like to know further about uLaw or about today's topic. Please feel free to let us know. We'll be happy to help you out. Look into the chat window for the details on attendance and other links that are going to be sent shortly. And if you all have any other questions, whether in regards to today's topic or the previous topics that we have discussed, or you have any suggestions about upcoming weeks, any topics that you'd like to see. I understand most of you are more CPD oriented, but it can also be otherwise. If you'd like to come in here for learning, if we could walk you through any great features using uLaw platform, we'll be happy to do so. But please do send in your suggestions on our chat window so that we can definitely take it to our support team and work with them and come up with more new topics that can help many of you out there, attending the webinars every other Friday. Thank you so much for coming here, showing support. And, it means a lot to have people come in and show support every other week. I can see a lot of names that those are here every other week, and we'll be happy to do so. If you have any specific topics in mind, please do send us your suggestions on the chat window as well. Once again, I thank everyone for joining today's webinar. We will have the new topics posted early next week, and you should be able to see that on our webinar website. Thank you so much, and have a good day and a great weekend too.